Hello, everybody. My name is Rajeshwari Budree. I'm the founder of Brandcheck Academy. Super excited to be here with you today on the online prosperity show with Prosperity. Yay!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, where we bring you the brightest minds and the most inspiring stories from the world of business and beyond. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we've got a guest who knows a thing or two about building brands from the ground up. And I just don't mean those beautiful cakes she loves to bake. I'm talking about whipping something that is authentic and people can actually love to be a part of. Now, Rajeshwari, how are you doing today?
I'm fabulous. Thank you so much, Prosper. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm super excited to be here.
Well, the pleasure is all mine. I've only just learned that I'm in the midst of royalty here. Tell us a little bit about what your name stands for, just the name part alone, and all hail to the princess.
So basically, Rajeshwari means princess. Like the male version would be Raj, which is king, and Rajeshwari means princess. So yes, that's my
Absolutely.
name.
Absolutely. And if she's not wearing crowns or singing for her subordinates or people feeding her with grapes, she's probably in the kitchen herself, whipping up something sweet or even sweeter than the world of business. We're going to be finding out all about that sweet tooth there. But for those that are meeting Rajesh for the very first time, and I've got to get this right because I don't want your royal highness to, descend upon me for saying the wrong name here. So Rajesh is the founder of Brandcheck Academy, and it's a training institute that's actually transforming the way brands are built. So this is from both corporations and individuals alike. And she's had a stint of her own with over, I'm not going to say how many years in the corporate jungle. I'll let her tell us that story. And she just came back and now she is helping people learn different and, practice what we call authentic marketing while they're creating for and relating to their audiences. Now, Rajeshwari, I'm already saying things I have no idea about. Tell us a little bit about your journey so far and what you've been up to.
Thank you so much, Prosper. So absolutely. So I've spent 23 years in corporate South Africa. And I've been fortunate to have worked with all major corporations within South Africa. I started up at BMW SA in promotions and events. I then moved over to a company called Cell C, which is the third cellular network in South Africa. I actually developed the brand for Cell C. Believe it or not. And during that journey, I moved over to the financial institute, which was at Standard Bank. And at Standard Bank was absolutely amazing opportunity where I got to build the brand from the inside out. And then I moved over to ABSA, Corporate Investment Banking. ABSA Corporate Investment Banking was an amazing opportunity. I actually got to launch ABSA Corporate Investment Banking Africanacity campaign in South Africa and in 14 countries in Africa, as well as the US, UK, and in China. That was an amazing opportunity. I then got headhunted to join the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, which was absolutely amazing opportunity there. And then I spent my 23 years in corporate South Africa until one day I realized it was time to actually start fulfilling my purpose and my passion.
Fantastic. I mean, 23 years is a very long time. You would have seen, the start and grow of, the then South African economy because, it is amongst one of the youngest economies in the world. And congratulations on all the things that you have actually accomplished. Now, companies like BMW, Standard Bank, these are household names. Tell us what it was like walking in the corridors of these companies and you just thinking, oh my God, this is me in this, particular scenario.
Absolutely. I think I was very privileged in every one of my opportunities that I had received to actually join these companies where I learned things that you can't actually go, they were not textbooks, exercises, so to speak. Some brands like C, we were still bidding for the license for South Sea. And then once we got the license to nothing, all the way up to what it is, a multi-million rand company today. So I say I'm grateful for the opportunities that I've been given. And it's almost being, forgive the word, but it's almost been like a SpongeBob where you get into this company and you walk into this, as you would say, into the corridor of greatness, and it is up to you to actually take it to the next level. And I think that's what sparks my uniqueness, is my ability to take things and make it great and make it amazing.
Mm, absolutely. But it wouldn't have been as great as you probably brought up in a palace. I mean, being a princess as you are, it would have been a whole, oh, why do they have chairs that don't fold in a certain way that fits my setup? Now, what was it like maybe growing up, because these seem like high achieving type roles that you took on, and was there sort of any inspiration that would have come at a younger age where you felt, you know what, this is what I'm going to be and this is what I'm going to do?
Absolutely. So I got a lot of inspiration from my family because we're very family orientated. So my dad and my mom always encouraged us. So I'm the eldest of three kids, my brother being the middle kid and my sister being the youngest. And, we grew up in a very high performance family, in terms of we had majority of the individuals, believe it or not, within my family, and for a lack of being stereotyped, we are entrepreneurs. So a lot of my family members actually owned and owns quite a few businesses. So growing up as a little girl, I was always playing around in environments that were owned or started up by my family. And I think that's where I grew inspiration. My dad and my mom always encouraged me to be bold, be brave, be beautiful, and do everything authentically. So I think that's where I get my little spark and my motivation. It comes from my childhood.
Mm.
Mhm.
You know what this actually does now, Rajesh? It puts you in a very unique place where you've seen the mom and pop type business from the ground up, and you've also seen the corporate side and a blend of that. Not a lot of people get to experience both successful sides of it. They probably just get a glimpse of it. Now, how has this sort of experience sort of now shaped the way you approach brand building today?
I think, growing up as a child, my dad always said to me, you can be anything you want to be, but just be the best version of yourself. And I always thought to myself, I don't understand what he means. What does authentic mean? What does it mean to be authentic? What does it mean to be real and to be honest? And it's very difficult in business because you find yourself dealing with different types of personalities. But staying true to who you are, your culture, your values are extremely important in business, because that's what people buy, right? People don't just buy a pretty face. They buy everything about you. Do you have the package? Do you walk the walk? Do you talk the talk? And I grew up with the motto of always being the hardest worker in the team. And if you speak to anyone that I've worked with in the past, they go, if you know Rajesh, you know she was always, the first one at the office, the last one at the office, and always a high performance achiever, and very committed to what I did authentically. So I think that has what I've brought through into my business today. So when I deal with my customers or my clients, it's a journey. And I think another key thing for me is building relationships. That for me has been the cherry on the top. People buy from people, and it's not just a phase that they say or a phrase that they say. It's actually true, because people, if they buy from you, they will buy you holistically. And believe it or not, I have clients that I've worked with from 15 to 20 years ago. That's how my relationships with my clients have been. And every time my client has moved from one project to another project, they've taken me along in those journeys. So that's what authentic leadership is about. That's what it is to be a passionate, authentic, real leader.
Absolutely. I quite like that. I mean, the whole people buy from people aspect, even those people that think they sell to corporates, but there's usually somebody in HR or somebody who's the CEO who ends up signing the check or watches the video or reads the blog. So they are literally that one person who essentially then makes decisions on behalf of a corporate or things like that. But you did this for 23 years. In corporate, I was about to say Australia.
It might as well be Australia. Who knows? Maybe I'm coming soon.
You never know. You're almost there anyway. But what was the tipping point that actually made you realize, hey, it's time to do something on my own?
Yeah. So thank you for asking that, Prosper, because that was actually a point in my life where, I had just got home. So in my apartment at about 9:30 that evening, and I'd spent the entire day in a board meeting. And it was actually 3 days of board meetings. So you can just imagine the intensity, from moving from Manco to Exco, and then from Exco into board, and then literally getting home at 9, 10 o'clock at night, and being hundreds and hundreds of kilometers away from my family. Got home, dropped my laptop and everything, kicked off my shoes, and I sat at the table to call my family to say goodnight. And when I put the phone down, I literally had a meltdown. I had a meltdown, and I said, Rajesh, I can't do this anymore. I cannot be hundreds and hundreds of kilometers away from my family, literally Monday to Friday. And what am I doing? Am I living the best version of myself? Am I doing something that's meaningful and purposeful? And don't get me wrong, I loved what I did. I absolutely loved what I did. And when I do something, I'm all in. So both feet in, both hands in, and I'm there. I'm that girl. But I just felt I couldn't do it anymore. So the next day I flew back home, and my husband fetched me from the airport. He's like, I didn't even close the door. I jumped into the car, and he was like, yeah, what's wrong? I said, I'm quitting. I'm quitting. I'm quitting my job. And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, okay, we were wondering when you were going to do this. And I was like, wow. I said, okay, I didn't know you felt that way. He says, you know what? You need, when you are ready to actually take the time to move your mountain, we were giving you the space to do that. So now, Mohammed, move your mountain. And I was I was like, and that is another point that I'd like to emphasize, is having the right support.
Mm.
My husband and I have been together for many years, and he is so supportive of who I am and the journey I'm on. It actually makes the journey a lot easier when you have that backup support. Yeah. So I quit my corporate job. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. But I needed to do something that was going to feed my soul. And that's what Brandcheck does. It feeds my soul.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations. I mean, first of all, it's not easy. I mean, 23 years, it becomes your identity, you know, and for you to literally have that decision, but also you did introduce us to your family, you know, your two siblings, and you did mention that family was quite important, and now you probably at this time had you a family of your own when you then realized, wait a minute, what am I doing? How many kids did you have at that moment?
Absolutely. So I actually have one child,
Right.
and he's 13 years old.
Wow.
So while I was out traveling and actually building these brands for other companies and other institutes, I had to get him an au pair. So he had an au pair, and he spent a lot of his time with an au pair, you know, fetching him from school, driving him to activities, and 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 then I realized it's an amazing opportunity that I have doing all these amazing projects around the world, building these brands. But in actual fact, I was missing out as
Mm,
being a mom and being an authentic mom. And that this is the work-life balance, right? How do you as a mom build a brand, build, and I hate to use this word, but it's empire. How
mhm,
do you build this and still have a balance? And
mm,
then I had to, it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice to go, okay, so we want a really good life. And my husband and I have built our lives in such a way that we love to travel. So travel's one of our pet love. And we could spend our time traveling, we would do that. And that's exactly why I did what I did, so that we could offer the opportunity to my son to see the world. Because once you've traveled, you actually become a storyteller. You understand, and that's how I see it, right? When you've traveled the world, you've met different religions, different cultures, you've ate different food, you almost become more tolerant. And can I tell you something? At Brandcheck, I have every kind of client from every kind of diverse entity. And remember, facilitating them and training them and empowering them. If you don't understand different types of cultures, how are you going to be successful in what you do? And
mm.
now I understand that my entire life has been a full circle, that I did what I did to be where I am right now. And if I hadn't done what I had done, I wouldn't be where I am.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, like I did put that connection between, you know, your mom and pop business and then the corporate business, and now you're blending all that for the small to medium business person and things like that. And first of all,
Absolutely.
congratulations for realizing and heeding to that call, because so many people would just be like a pencil, you know, just keep sharpening, thinking, oh, maybe if I, you know, upskill or I do whatever it is, and then they completely burn out. And I think you would have escaped that by a smidge. And you went home and your husband was very understanding of this. But this support that you talk about, do you think they were now signs that your husband was now, were there any telltale signs that your husband was now starting to notice that maybe it's about time? But obviously with the, you know, love and respect, he wouldn't want to be the one that suggests that, because it would not be maybe taken in the right light.
Absolutely. I think to give you some sort of perspective as to what I was doing. So I would fly off on a Monday morning. So I would get up usually about quarter to 4 in the morning, and then I would have my driver fetch me to take me to the airport at 5:30 a.m.
Is there a
to
time like
board.
is there a time like that? Because I don't think
Yeah, there is. And you wouldn't believe it. My check-in at the airport was 6:15. So check in at 6:15 to take the flight out at 6:45 to land at 8 a.m. And that's not it. So I would land in a different province completely at 8 o'clock in the morning. But as I'm landing, my exco meeting was starting. So I would get onto the phone and I would be literally on my mobile at my 8 o'clock meeting. And then I would my driver would fetch me and off I'd go to my meeting. But as I have just landed, literally my meeting would start. And I would do that on Monday morning, and I would fly back on a Friday afternoon at 4:30. So my husband would fetch me at 4:30, and then you must know, on a Saturday and Sunday, it's running around, sorting out the household, making sure my son is sorted out, making sure everything is, whatever I could possibly do in what is it, 24, 48 hours, and then back on the plane again. And if I wasn't in South Africa, I was in London. If I wasn't in London, I was in maybe an African continent, somewhere in the African continent. So I spent a lot of my time at the airport with my little trolley bag.
Mm.
And that was my life. That was my life for a good couple of years. And eventually it takes a toll on you. I mean, I hadn't seen my friends for I think over like a year and a half, 2 years. And some of them would call me up and they'll say, please send me a picture of yourself because we forgot what you look like. And
Yeah, hey, that strikes deep. Yeah, you would have been like an air hostess, or you know what I mean. People would just
yeah,
think because you're living on a plane and things of that nature, right? But when
absolutely.
you quit, did you know what tomorrow was going to look like? I mean, coming from such a hectic travel schedule, 3-day board meetings and things of that nature, and just putting a plug and just yanking the rag under there, did you know what you were going to do?
I knew for a fact that I had to take everything I'd learned in 23 years and actually put it into some sort of bubble, but a bubble that I could share, that I could throw on. You know, I didn't know that it would be the training academy. I never ever envisioned myself to actually have a training institute. And the funniest thing is, when I met a friend of mine, she said to me, "Oh wow, Rajesh, it's quite interesting. You spent your whole life in marketing, building brands. I never expected you to go into training, into education." And I said to her, I said, you know what? After 23 years of building brands in corporate South Africa and where I am today, I am the most happiest person inside and out. And that's deep. To
Absolutely.
actually to find a space and to find your own space in this huge, big world, this universe of people with unique skills and diverse abilities. I found my niche. I
Wow.
found my niche. I found my space, and I'm comfortable with who I am. And that takes a lifetime. I've just turned 48 years old, and who said you
Congratulations.
can't build a brand at 48? Says who? I mean, the guy at KFC did it at 60, 70 years
And
old.
Colonel
I got
Sanders.
plenty of time. I got plenty of time to build a KFC, right? That's how you have
Absolutely.
to look at it. That's exactly how you have to look at it. The time is now, and the time is right, and the universe will align you when it is your time to do what you need to do. The universe will align everything to ensure that you are supposed to be doing what you're doing. And let me tell you something, Prosper. If anyone says, I'm thinking about doing it, don't think about doing it. Take a pen, take a paper, write it down. Because when you write something down, it manifests into what it's meant to be. And then start plotting it out. And that's exactly what happened. I wrote it down and I said, right, Rajesh, we're going to build a brand. We're going to build Brandcheck Academy. And together with that, we're going to build Brandcheck worldwide. And how are we going to do this? We're going to do it based on everything you've learned through the years. So when you become a subject matter expert, and that's what I can say to someone today, but always remember, take every day as a learning. So I spend every day learning something new, whether I'm on the internet researching or whatever the case may be, or learning a new recipe to bake. I always make it my priority to learn something new every day. And people will teach you things if you take the time to humble yourself to learn.
And I think all this learning has gotten you to create something completely unique, because Brandcheck Academy is more than just a training institute. It's way past that now, because if it's just a matter of people getting a certification, well, they can go somewhere else. But how have you created it so that it differs from the traditional ones that we're used to, and maybe what other agencies are doing out there, and how you bring in value to your clients?
Absolutely. So Brandcheck Academy has three buckets. So we offer our clients master classes, and the master classes are basically 3 hours to a full day of a subject that that is current, that you need to actually empower yourself on. And then I'm going to get back to that right now, because I love the master classes. And then we have the 5-day workshops. So people that want to intensify their learning, so we do the 5-day workshops. And then I've actually partnered with a company that has accredited institutes or registered with CETAs, and we have 52 accredited courses. And that's obviously, if people want to go, they want to get a qualification and they want to have that certificate, we can offer them that. But I want to jump back quickly on the master classes, which I love. And I feel like I have almost, I wouldn't say dominated, but what I say is I've created a niche, or I've carved out a niche for myself in terms of offering these master classes. Because let's face it, right? We don't have 3 years to go and study at an institute where at the end of 3 years, you even forgot what you were studying. So what we were looking for, and what people are looking for, especially in the South African economy right now, they're looking for a quick fix. And you look at Brandcheck, and Brandcheck is basically, when you go to the doctor and the doctor gives you a vitamin B shot, Brandcheck Academy offers you that. We offer you a quick vitamin B shot in a subject that you want to master. For instance, influencer marketing, right? That's the next best thing since sliced bread. If you understand where marketing is going, if you understand where you should be putting your marketing budget towards, if you understand where and how to actually build brands quickly, influencer marketing is one of the key driver in the South African economy right now. And guess what? People don't understand what it is. They don't know what it is. They don't know how to use it. They don't know when to use it. They don't know why they should be using it. They don't know how to evaluate it. So that's what the masterclass in influencer marketing does. Another exciting masterclass that we offer is personal branding, right? We are all, and I always say this to everyone, we are all Rihanna's, we are all Beyonce's. If you look at yourself
You speak for yourself, princess.
Hey, you know what? If you want to be Snoop Doggy Dog, who am I? You know, really, I can help you get to that brand. Don't worry. But what I'm saying is that we always look at personal branding as, no, that's for the birds and the bees, and that's for all the celebrities. But in actual fact, guys, getting back to my point of people buying from people, if you understand your value, you understand your brand, you understand your worth, you will have people actually literally fighting to meet with you because they're attracted to what you have to have or what you have to offer, pardon me. And from a value proposition, that is critical. Absolutely critical. And if I could just sum up in terms of personal branding, what I always say, and there's three things that I want my people to walk away with. As a personal brand, there's three critical things. One, be intentional. And I say this, intentional meaning, if you say you're going to be the number one at something, then you better make sure that you're doing it and be intentional about it. Don't be shy. Don't hide behind things. Be intentional. Number two, be unapologetic. Understand your worth, your value, and be unapologetic of who you are, what you stand for, and what your brand represents. And number three, be your own billboard. And people go, what do you mean? I'm a stand and be a billboard? I'm like, no, guys. What I mean is, don't be afraid to tell people what you do. Don't be afraid to tell people how good you are, what value you bring to the market, and what makes you different and unique. Because you know what? Prosper, no one's going to do that for you. No one is going to say to you, oh, you know what? That person's amazing. That person's great. No one's going to do that. You yourself need to believe in yourself. You need to take accountability, responsibility for your actions, be intentional, be unapologetic, be your billboard. That for me is critical.
Absolutely. No, Rajesh, this is a masterclass, isn't it? I mean, we should have actually been paying for this. I'm out here taking notes and everything, and I'm like, what is actually happening? Because
don't worry, I'll send you the bill.
Yeah, I like the unapologetic part there, which says, because of the value that you're bringing to the table. I mean, for real, at the end of it all, so many people, when you're stepping into the scene, social media is a little bit intimidating, and so many people wait to be given a platform, and wait for somebody to maybe tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, maybe it's now your turn to be on the stage. But the stage is available to 8 billion people. There are 8 billion stages out there, and each and every one of us has an opportunity to show up and showcase what it is that you want to showcase. But I don't know, I'm just going to be the devil's advocate in all of this. In a country where the whole Ubuntu is, part and parcel of who people are, because people say I am because you are, so I'm not going to be unapologetically or, there, and maybe the intentional part is all right, but also here in Australia, we've got what's called the tall poppy syndrome. How do people actually navigate that? And maybe how do you coach people or advise people to navigate those sort of societal, restrictions that people might have?
Absolutely. So one of the courses or one of the master classes we actually we take leadership through is the underlying theme has to do with Ubuntu, which is I am because of who you are, and you are because of who I am. And there's a masterclass on authentic leadership. And what does authentic leadership mean? And how do you be authentic? So what we found with our clients, especially in the corporate sector, is that all the C-suite clients have got all the MBAs, They've got the ABCs, AMGs. They've got all these titles, right? And they've got all these great qualifications. But you know what they lack? They lack on how to be authentic. And that being said, is how do you build authentic leadership? How do you build authentic leadership using the principles of Ubuntu? And like you rightfully said, in a country where we are so diverse, is using our diversity to actually embrace who we are. So if you take race out of a situation and you put in authenticness, that's what people will see. They don't see a beautiful Indian lady. They see an authentic leader. And that's the difference.
Well, I'm just seeing the princess in front of me, and I'm just shaking in my boots because I'm just in the midst of greatness. I mean, like I said, this is slowly turning into a masterclass. But as a brand builder yourself, okay, you've presented to us so many different brands of Rajesh. Okay, so you've presented the wife brand, the entrepreneur brand, you've presented the corporate jet setter brand, you've also presented the mom brand, and now the educator brand. Which one is your favorite and why?
I actually can't separate them. It's a mixture of everything. And I think I am where I am today because of everything else. It's built me in that way. It's almost like when you're building a house, right? I can't take out my experience as a young kid growing up, walking into my dad's little pop-up store. That already taught me. I mean, during my holiday time, when it was time to be on holiday and be playing, my dad would have these pop-up stores selling whatever he was selling at that time. And that inspired me, right? I can't take that away from me. And then my mom spent hours and hours. My mom is actually a great chef and a great baker. And that's where I learned I got inspired from her. So if I have to separate anything from who I am right now, no. It's the little bits and pieces that actually make me who I am. Absolutely. Yeah.
I like this. Now, obviously, we've been talking a lot about how you are now helping people and with the Brandcheck Academy. Tell us, where can people get a hold of you or get started on their journey to creating these authentic brands that you seemingly are dishing out like Oprah? You get a brand, you get a brand, you get a brand.
Absolutely. So you can contact us on www.brandcheckacademy.co.za. So that's our website. And then obviously on all the different social handles, we are on LinkedIn as Brandcheck Academy, TikTok, and on Facebook. So absolutely, you can jump on those handles and Brandcheck Academy.
Fantastic. I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, I will be putting all those links in the show notes, and then people can, really get started on creating these magnificent brands that you've worked with. But as you would know, everybody is going on their own journey and they're thinking, my situation is a little bit different and I can't compete with Rajesh. She's worked in corporate 23 years. I don't have that experience. I also don't have experience of having parents that started off in business and things of that nature. What sort of advice would you give to somebody who's just umming and ahhing about getting started on being authentic with their own brand?
Absolutely. So Prosper, I'm so glad you actually asked me that question. And the funny thing about it, you're going to laugh when I tell you this, but try not to fall off the chair. We actually have a masterclass on what's your side hustle. I told you, Brandcheck is that vitamin B shot that you need. And you know what? So we created that masterclass, and it's a 5-week program to actually help people And we have two types of people, right? We have the individual who goes, oh, I want to start a deli, but I'm not sure. I like to do baking and stuff. And then we have the corporate guy who's been sitting in corporate for the past like 15, 20 years. And guess what? In the next couple of years, corporate is going to say bye-bye and get someone younger, faster, more agile. So the masterclass on What's Your Side Hustle actually takes you on a journey. And it takes you on a journey to go, number one, self-discovery. Always when you are defining what do you want to do next, is define what you're really good at. Start there. It's the easiest thing, right? So define what are you unique at, or what are you good at? Okay. So, and then on that journey, we take individuals on, developing a business strategy, developing sales and marketing, going through what could be the risk to starting that business, brand management, and then we go through to operations and strategy, and then we do social media management. Then we go into financial literacy, right? That's really important. You can build a brand, but if you don't know how to be financially literate, you're going to be broke, basically. And then we throw in coaching. So we bring in brand coaching and we bring in business coaching. And then in the last week of the actual sessions is we bring in performance management, like how do you manage the performance of yourself, your business, and then we end it on personal branding. So it's a holistic end-to-end scenario of the guy in the corporate, what do I do, where do I go, and the guy that's sitting here that wants to open up his deli. So it gives you a beautiful breakdown of what you should be doing. And after 5 weeks, if you haven't mastered that and you don't know what you're going to do, then I say stick to your day job.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, with such guidance and with such step-by-step setup, if it doesn't work for you, then I don't think anything will ever work for you.
Absolutely.
Now, Rajesh, this has been absolutely wonderful, and I've just had a pleasure just learning all about you, and I can see the 23 years in full force. You know what I mean? There's no way I would ask to see a resume after this. It's right there in plain sight. But the thing about it all is, what's next? What can we expect? I mean, obviously, you've been taking us on this jet setting journeys in boardrooms and coming back home, getting started on this journey. Now we're intrigued. What can we expect from Brand Academy or Rajesh?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we are super excited. There are three things that I want to share with you that we have on the cards right now. We are definitely going into Africa because education is universal, right? In no matter what language, you can take a textbook and you can translate it into French, into Portuguese, into whatever vernac you want to. So we're definitely going into Africa, and we are busy with some clients that we're doing some collaboration with so that we can actually take Brandcheck into those countries. And the great thing about it is that everything is virtual, right? So you don't have to be physically in that country to actually do a masterclass or to be part of a masterclass. So that is one thing that we're definitely doing. So we're definitely doing Africa, and then we're going global thereafter. And then the second thing which I want to share is that I'm busy writing my book. So hopefully, the next time we meet, I might have a book. So, and not I might have, I will have a book. And I think it's really important. My husband, when he met me, and he all through the years, I mean, we've been together, I think almost 30 years, if I'm not mistaken. And we met at first year varsity, by the way. So you can imagine back in the day. So my husband and I, he always said to me, he says, Rajesh, your journey has been so amazing. You know, what you've learned is that you can't go to the local supermarket and buy what you've learned at that company when you were part of that startup, or when you were building that brand, or when you were building that brand. And he says, why don't you package it, and why don't you do your book? So it's been, for the past, I would say, the past 5 years, 7 years, it's been on something on my to-do list. It was always at the bottom, but it was on my to-do list. So we're definitely going, and we're going to be exploring that very soon. So I'm busy with the writers right now. And the third thing, which I'm super excited to actually share, is that we are going into incubator and SME markets. And what does that mean? So I've put together a program to help SMEs actually, how do corporates help SMEs grow? So what is the gap? And the gap that's missing is, what do you do for the SMEs? So the corporate has got the funding, yes. SMEs has got the knowledge, and they have products, or they have skills, or they have services. But how do you bridge the two, and what do you fill? So I've got the filling in there, which I'm ready now to plug and play. So we've just presented to a corporate last week, and we should hopefully by this week be able to land our first SME project to actually drive and close that market through education, through learning. Yeah.
Wow. Fantastic. You see, when you introduce the boardroom, 3 hours in a boardroom or whatever it is, you would have been, if we were in the same boardroom, you would have been sitting there learning and, soaking everything in. I would have been looking around just trying to figure out how they moved that table through what door, you know what I mean? And now you're sending the elevator down, helping others be, do, and have a business that's profitable and enjoyable. And it's quite commendable what you've achieved and who you're becoming. And I can't wait to see, the trail that you're going to be blazing, and the people that are going to be passing through this Brandcheck Academy. Please do not forget us when you get all rich and famous. I would like to maybe sign up to be one of the people that will be feeding you grapes and maybe fanning you with a palm tree.
Prosper, there was one thing I remember that I just remembered right now that I didn't add, which I really, really want to share with the audience, is finding your right tribe. Please, if there's some way that we can bring this into the narrative, I want people out there to understand that when you find the right tribe, the right kind of infrastructure and backup in terms of people that are your supporters, stick to it, because that's going to be key. That's going to be key in your journey. And that's been key. So all this greatness came to Rajesh not on her own. I had great tribe members behind me. Believe me, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and it's okay. But there's going to be a handful of people that are going to go, I got you.
You, my peoples. Well, yeah. Rajesh, I'll tell you something. I think you are our peoples now. You've already promised that you're writing a book. So when the book is out, maybe we can have you on the Online Prosperity Show yet again, so we can celebrate this book, because like you said, it's been a long time in the making, and I just can't wait to see what you're creating. And this is just beautiful to watch. So many people go through life, like we started in the corridors of corporate. And yes, of course, it's all exciting and everything else. But if you don't find that one thing that brings you closer to yourself, and also the tribe that comes along with it, it will all be for naught. So thank you so much, Rajesh, for sharing your incredible story with us today. And I think your story is just a testament of, you know, passion, purpose, and perseverance. Like you say, it's not always rosy and easy, but if you've got the right people and you've got the right vision, it will
Yes.
actually work perfectly for you. So yeah, I applaud you for taking a chance on yourself.
No, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's been amazing.
Well, I did learn quite a lot, and like I said, it was a masterclass in and of itself. And for those that are watching right now, help me thank Rajesh. You know, obviously her insights and words will always stick with us, no matter where we are in our journey in business. And if you're anywhere near a computer right now, I want you to maybe type in the word brand, because I think when the book comes, I could get a couple of copies from Rajesh and we could throw a few books to people that we would have pinpointed from the comments there. Yeah, it's just things like this. When you see something in the making and you actually then get to physically see it in person, it hits kind of differently, you know. And Rajesh, thank you so much for choosing us to be part of your little tribe on your way to the top, you know.
Absolutely.
I really, really value the time that we've spent together. And yeah, let's just continue to spread wisdom and empower those that are on their way up. And for those that are watching right now, please subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show, because you never know what sort of greatness we might be able to bring to the show. As you have established, Rajesh is a princess, not only by way of name, but in the way that she actually handles herself, her clients, and the work that she's doing. And I think this is actually a masterclass in leadership and personal branding. So thank you so much for affording us this opportunity, Rajesh.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank
Thank you.
Bye for now.